Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. It's Friday night. We made it to, once again, the weekend. And thank you to all of you guys that have been catching the streams lately. It's been really cool. And hope you guys like that. On Wednesdays, we've been taking trips to Oz. We had Sarah on a week ago last Wednesday. And then this last Wednesday, we were joined by Gary Lynn. And next Wednesday, we're going to have Sarah back. But joining Sarah will be Cade Moya of the Believe podcast. So that's going to be great. We're definitely, I don't know if there's any future trips to Oz coming up, but these have been a lot of fun, and I hope you guys have enjoyed them. It's, of course, Cade and Sarah and Gary and Dean and Buck have all been amazing friends to the show, and we've had a great relationship with them for a long time, so it's been a lot of fun. And so it's been it's been excellent to catch up with them again and to have them on and continue just doing these merges and these cross promotions and round tables as are coming up this next week. It's just great. And I'm really thrilled that so many of you have been checking them out. So thank you all for that. And if you haven't checked them out, check them out, because the thing that is amazing to me, and then I'm just going to say this and then I'll get on with the show, but I'm always amazed at the continuity in behavior between Australia's Yowie and our Bigfoot, Sasquatch, skunk ape, grassman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But, and that in the Yeren, and that in the Almas, and that in the, the Irish Bigfoots, or the Grogok, or Woodwose. I mean, these behaviors are just universal. So, and just being able to compare notes in real time with both, I, of course, have the friends in Ireland with the IRBO, Irish Bigfoot Research Association, IBRO rather, and then with AYR, Australia Yowie Research. Just the continuity in behaviors is amazing to me. So it's been a lot of fun to get into those. And so, again, next Wednesday coming up, Cade of the Believe podcast and Sarah will return, and we'll have a roundtable discussion about all this incredible stuff. So, it's really cool. But I'm not alone tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I am joined by the big branch himself on my family tree, and I'm speaking, of course, of Mr. Sheldon Thomas. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Feeling great. Living the life here in the portal. How are you doing?
I'm doing good too. I'm living the portal life too. It's a good life, and a special thank you also to all of you guys that are getting involved in our Discord. We've had a lot of great conversations going on over there, and a lot of great information being posted. So definitely, if you're not familiar with the fact that we have a Discord, get familiar with it, because we're also doing questions of the week over there that we were talking about on these live streams. So it gives us a chance to merge those communities as well. So we'll get into that in a little bit. But Sheldon, I got to thank the sponsor. The sponsor. And
yes.
First I got to put it up on screen so that we can check it out. And that, of course, ladies and gentlemen, is Cryptid Coin. And Cryptid Coin is a cryptocurrency that has its heart in encrypted research and investigation. And they're proud sponsors of the Paranormal Portal, and we're thrilled to have them here. I know a lot of people are looking at cryptocurrencies as an alternate form of investment, and I can't say whether that's the right choice for you or not, but I'm just thrilled about Cryptid Coin, because obviously it's right in our wheelhouse. So if you're looking for more information, you want to check them out, go to cryptidcoin.io. Again, cryptidcoin.io, and check it out. And they are now available on PancakeSwap and have been for quite a bit now. And so makes getting involved even easier. So check them out. And special thank you to Cryptid Coin for sponsoring the portal. So awesome. All right. So Sheldon, we got a bucket full of fun left to get into for the night here, but I guess we should probably start with the news. Are you ready?
I'm always ready. Let's dig in.
Let's dig in. Like it's a bucket of ribs, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
All right. Let's dig into the news. Here we go, folks. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal News Desk, where we go into all things paranormal and otherwise, too, as we explore the news. And These are absolutely fun segments for me to do because I like talking about a lot of this stuff. And there's a lot of amazing information that we curate from unexplained-mysteries.com. It's a great site. Please check them out. Support what they're doing because they've got such a load of amazing little short form articles and snippets of information. And it's the perfect format for us to use to cover on the news here on the show. So let's get into it. First of all, the first one up on our newscast for the night is coming from unexplained-mysteries.com. Map shows evidence of long-lost Welsh Atlantis. A Welsh Atlantis. It's kind of a mouthful. I don't know. I'm trying to get my tongue working. Blah, blah. All right. A legendary lost land once thought to exist in Cardigan Bay has shown up on an old 13th century map of the British Isles. The legend of Atlantis certainly needs no introduction, but there exist several other lesser-known legends of similar in nature countries all over the world that continue to remain similarly elusive. One of these is, how do you say that? Contrar Gweled. I'm sorry if I'm brutalizing that, but I don't speak a lot of Welsh. So, a landmass once thought to exist off the coast of Wales. Historians have been searching for accounts of this so-called Welsh Atlantis for years, and now, following on an intriguing discovery on a 13th century map, they may have made a breakthrough. Known as the Gow map, after Richard Gow, who acquired it from the state in 1774, it appears to show two mysterious islands in Cardigan Bay that don't actually exist in the present day. Wow. The Gow map is extraordinarily accurate considering the surveying tools they would have had at their disposal at the time, said Professor Simon Hazlitt of Swansea University. The two islands are clearly marked and may corroborate contemporary accounts of a lost land mentioned in the Black Book of Carmarthen. They had really cool names for books back then. The Black Book of it sounds like a spell book or something.
It does, yeah. Oh my God.
If these islands did exist, however, it is likely that they were lost to the waves long ago. Legends of sudden inundation, such as the case for whatever that name is, might be more likely to be recalling sea floods and erosion, either by storms or tsunami, and may have forced the population to abandon living along such vulnerable coasts, said Hazlitt. Oh, I almost started an ad. Oops. In roughly a millennia from Ptolemy's time to the building of Harlech Castle, during the Norman period, the seascape had completely altered. I wonder what happened up there, that they lost islands. I mean, would that be, I wouldn't expect volcanic, but earthquakes or something of that nature maybe? Wow. They lost two islands.
Tsunami, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, but tsunamis are tough and all, but I mean, if it was built to sand, I could see it washing away. But if it's got any rock in there, you'd think they could see where it was at least. But that's really curious, huh? So there's some kind of lost islands off the coast of Wales, folks. I didn't know that, and maybe you didn't know it either. So you're welcome. The Paranormal Portal News continues to educate the masses here. So,
it's true.
or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, it didn't say that they were a technological marvel of any kind. I was thinking, like, what if it was like a mothership just kind of sitting out there and then they just took off? No, I'm just obviously joking, but I'm sure it was some kind of devastation of some measure in the distant past. But interestingly enough, seems the face of the world is constantly changing. But our next article, coming from unexplained-mysteries.com, is one that maybe some of you have been used to or you've heard of before, but it's talking about the image of a carved face on the Martian rock resurfaces. This has been around a while, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why we're recovering this, except for the fact that really does look like a face, but is it convincingly so, or could it just be a shape similar to a face, just as a rock erodes? Yeah. I'm not thoroughly convinced that these were actually carved faces, but maybe they were. We don't know what these, ancient peoples of Mars, if they did exist, what they would have looked like, but it does look like a face. It really does. Right, Sheldon?
It does. I mean, you can't deny it.
Yeah, I mean, even in the brow ridge, the eye, the cheekbone, the half the nose, down to some kind of frowny mouth.
Yeah.
It's
I hope they
interesting.
tell us the scale of it too, because that's something that was missing last time we read it.
Yeah, probably. It says this intriguing photograph seems to show a carved rock face on the surface of Mars, or does it? Well, let's find out. It says from a giant crab to the face of Beaker from the Muppets. There have certainly been a lot of strange sightings on the surface of Mars over the years. With its barren landscape, strewn with random shaped boulders, rocky outcrops, and other geological features, it's perhaps not surprising that Mars is a prime location for to see examples of pareidolia. The human brain's natural tendency to see meaningful shapes and otherwise abstract patterns. In this latest example of how easily our minds can be fooled, this image, which was captured by NASA's Curiosity rover in 2014, shows what appears to be a carved face, like something that could be part of an ancient statue. In reality, well, is it? I don't know. Of course, it's simply a random happenstance of shapes and angles, but it's interesting to see, once again, just how easily such things can be picked out on the surface of another world. So if it was just this face, folks, I would be like, yeah, that's probably pareidolia. If this is the only thing they pulled from there. Now, the interesting thing is there's a lot of anomalies on Mars that don't seem to match everything else. I mean, it's like these oddities. There's, and of course these images are questionable in their depth, and we don't know how big they are. We don't know what scale we're looking at, but it certainly could be some natural formations. But if you take all of them into consideration, are they all natural? All these weird shapes and objects that people are pointing out, and including some looking like some kind of insects that are flying through frames and stuff. There's lots of weirdness. Now, could be just things floating around in the wind on Mars, but I don't know. I leave it open, because I think there very well may have been life on Mars at one point in the distant past, and perhaps even remaining on Mars. Who knows? I don't know. I mean, I don't pretend to know, but I don't think that it's proper to just dismiss it either. They could just say, look, these are some questions we just don't know, and leave it at that. But why do they need to dismiss it and just call it all pareidolia? I don't know. That to me just leaves a foul taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, my line of thinking on this is pictures I would like to see is like different times of the day that photo is showing, because then it would really show if those shadows are really just shadows from like a sand dune thing, or if it's a rock, or if it's this or that. But there's only one photo, and then it makes me think, why, if you do have more photos that made you believe that this is pareidolia, why not release those too?
Sure.
To show proof. Why just a statement? So I don't know. It's tough.
It is tough. But anyway, folks, it's the Curiosity continues. Because it was the Mars Curiosity. Yeah. Thank you very much, folks. I'm here all night. But that's the next feature in our newscast. Let's continue on here as we take advantage of the time we have allotted between commercial breaks. If you're new to the show, we're going to be taking commercial breaks every 27 minutes because we're simulcasting on a couple networks as well. So we got to stay on a certain schedule. But coming up next on our newscast is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Seal breaks into house and hangs out on the sofa.
Nice.
He was just like, nope, I'm not icing this. I'm going into somebody's couch. An inquisitive seal recently broke into a house in New Zealand and kicked back there for several hours. That's nice. He just found a nice couch to go curl up on. For most people, the problem of unwanted animals entering the home is usually limited to spiders and insects. But for one New Zealand family this week, the unexpected intruder turned out to be a young fur seal that had made its way into their house from the ocean 150 meters away. The curious seaborne mammal seemingly managed to navigate through 2 cat flaps and enter the building before spending a couple of hours in the hallway, in the spare room, and on the couch. It's believed that the seal also had a run-in with the family's cat. The cat would have gone to defend its territory, and obviously the seal wasn't as intimidated as some dogs are. So Coco must have bolted around the side of the house into the cat flap, and the seal must have followed her, said Phil Ross, a marine biologist who happened to be out at the time. His wife and kids had all been asleep when the unexpected visitor wandered in, and they didn't discover that it was there until the following morning. After successfully ushering the animal out into the garden, they phoned up the Department of Conservation, which sent a ranger around the house to pick it up. Fortunately, the seal was no worse for wear and was taken back to the ocean a short time later. The cat, meanwhile, seemed to be pretty traumatized by the experience. That's not a mouse. That's not a mouse. The cat's just really bummed out now. He just got punked in his own house. Poor thing. Well, there you go, folks.
It's a pretty happy surprise, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I seen that video of that big grizzly busting into that house, and if you haven't seen it, just look on YouTube. I'm sure you'll bump into it. But there's this bear, and he's a big grizzly, or she. I don't know if it's a male or female or what, but you have the standard door. Well, it's a wooden door with the standard deadbolt and handle locks, and you can see this door flex like once, and then boom, it just flies open like this bear just leaned up against it and blew the lock out, and then it's in the house. And I don't know much more about it. I am hoping that the people weren't home when that happened, but it just gives you an idea. It's like, I'd rather have the seal. I'd be much happier with the seal than to come out and find a big grizzly in my house. That would be absolutely terrifying.
There's no competition there.
Yeah, I mean, of all the animals to break in, a seal is not too bad. I think they fared pretty well, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because some family had a big grizzly in their home, and God, if it came into your house, I mean, they're supposed to be afraid of people. So if it came into your house, that's a dangerous bear. Oof.
Oh,
oof.
Yeah, that is.
Yep. So anyway, I'm sure many of you have seen it.
Imagine a rabid bear.
A rabid bear? Can they get rabies? I guess they probably could. I just don't ever hear about that. But
yeah, true.
I don't know. Well, I know like some things like raccoons are resistant to it, and possums are apparently immune to rabies. So distemper, not so much for raccoons, but rabies are very, very rare. So I wonder if there's something in the bear family, because I think raccoons are in the bear family somewhere. But I might be wrong. They might be rodents. Hell, I don't know. Anyway, let's continue on. We've got a couple more stories to get through here if we got the time. Let me see what the time is, because we're rocking. Yeah, we got 8 minutes left. We're okay. All right, coming up next on the newscast is from unexplained-mysteries.com. I don't know if we got a time for this one. This is probably going to be a big one. Yeah, it is. But it's an interesting thing, because maybe this is part of the big push to reestablish going to the moon. We'd like to think that it's all altruistic, like, yeah, we're just getting out into space and we're getting, we're going out and we're expanding our experience and stuff. But it's probably just something as stupid as, hey, there's lots of stuff we could dig up there and make money. So, it's probably geared through more of a greed. But if good benefits, to the worldwide community happen as a result, that's pretty cool, I guess. But who exactly has permission to mine the resources on the moon? I guess whoever gets there first. But in the near future, new international laws and agreements will be needed to govern resource mining on the lunar surface. God, I can't read that. That's huge. Well, I don't even know if it's that interesting anyway, to be honest with you. I don't pretend to be that interested in how they figure those things out. And I'm sure it's whoever has the biggest stick. That's who gets
to America.
Well, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if we get the biggest sticks anymore or not. I'm not sure. Well, hopefully
don't we have a flag still up there? We have a flag of ownership.
Yeah, we did put the first flag up there, allegedly, and unless you're some of those people that believe we didn't go there, and that's a whole nother discussion. But as it stands, we did put the first flag there. So does that mean it's ours? Well, I don't know. Probably not. But anyway, interesting discussion point that we're not going to get into. That's a whole bunch of boring stuff. I don't know why I pulled that one up. Here's another one. Hopefully much more interesting than that, and this has to do with Australia, which is kind of suiting to our shows lately. This one's kind of cool because we did mention it the other day that there is an effort to genetically bring back the thylacine, but this is from the cryptozoology section of unexplained-mysteries.com. Possible live thylacine filmed in South Australia. A woman who'd been out on a hike encountered an unidentified creature that may have been a Tasmanian tiger. While Jessie Mildy first caught sight of the mysterious creature near Belair National Park in the Adelaide Hills, her first impression was that it was either a weird-looking kangaroo or a really scraggly dog. Her sister, however, was convinced that it was in fact a Tasmanian tiger, a species thought to have been extinct for decades, with the last confirmed sighting being all the way back to 1936. Well, I don't know how you say confirmed. Was that the one in the zoo? Yeah, those are confirmed sightings, but people have been seeing these, on and off since then. But it had a really weird gait to it, sort of lolloping, almost movements, Mildy told ABC News. It was bigger than a fox but not as big as a massive dog, but it definitely didn't look like a fox. The tail was completely different, its back was really sloped down, and its head was a completely different shape. Experts, meanwhile, remain unconvinced, while most agreeing that the most plausible explanation was that the creature was actually a common fox suffering from mange. God, is that the rubber stamp description they give things they don't understand? It's a coyote with mange. Really? Everything's got mange. This mange has been terrible.
It's the new weather balloon.
It is the new weather balloon. I don't see the video itself. The video clip itself can be found on ABC News. I'm going to put a link into the chats if anybody wants to check those out. Yeah, they certainly can. I know Bam and Gemini are over in the TFR chat. Let me put it into the YouTube chat so you guys can check it out as well. Hello, Sugar Britches. Good to see you. I just opened up the YouTube chat and it's hello, Paranormal Portal. So, all right. Do you believe it is? I think it is. I don't know. I don't believe it's a fox with mange. There is a screenshot on the screen. It's, obviously like a lot of videos, it leaves a lot to the imagination, but it doesn't look like a fox. It looks bigger than a fox. It really does.
I'm watching the video right now, actually.
Are ya? Okay. Well, I don't know.
It's actually hard to tell. It really is in the video.
Sure, I'll bet it is, but it does seem to have. I don't know how bad is mange out there that everything that looks weird just is something with mange. Is there that much mange out there? I mean, it's just it's kind of the generic explanation for things they don't like to talk about. It's got mange. It's like, okay, well, thank you for that. Appreciate your input. I'm going to save that and check it out after the show. Maybe something we'll go back into tomorrow night. But I haven't seen it, so I don't know. We got 2 minutes left. I think we got enough time for one more. Let's go into this one. And, here's a winner. From the UFO files, ladies and gentlemen. Unexplained-mysteries.com reports Pentagon UFOs office will not investigate man-made UFOs.
Why?
Okay. How do you figure that? I mean, did they know which one are man-made? What's going on here? And they're not telling us?
That's an interesting statement there.
It is an interesting statement. How do they know? It's like, oh, no, we're not going to check that one out. That's man-made. What? The U.S. government's UFO office only seems to be interested in investigating objects of potential extraterrestrial origin.
Oh, my God.
Great. As are we all. Back in July, the Senate Committee on Intelligence approved a new draft bill which essentially redefined the term UFO to mean unidentified aerospace undersea phenomena, thus expanding and simultaneously refining its definition to better represent the types of objects reported by the U.S. Navy pilots off the coast of the United States over the last few years. Whew. I don't know. It's like, what's interesting, however, is this new definition could mean the U.S. For the U.S. government's new UFO office. The term aerospace undersea phenomena refers to what otherwise are known as transmedium objects, which are defined according to lawmakers as objects which transition between space and the atmosphere, or between the atmosphere and the bodies of water. Okay, so how do they know? There's nothing. How do they know? They're looking for what? The UPC code on them, and that's ours.
Yeah, like
I don't get it. Back in July, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence approved a new draft bill which essentially redefined the UFO term to mean, yeah, we already covered it, as definition better represented by type of objects reported by the U.S. Navy pilots off the coast of the United States over the last few years. What is interesting, however, is this new definition could mean for the U.S. government. They already said this. Why is it redundant? Oh, I'm reading the same thing twice. Derp.
Yeah, you are.
Sorry, that was my fault. Yeah, the implications of this, or if true, are striking, as they imply that government officials are operating under the assumption that these transmedium objects are likely to be extraterrestrial in nature. Oh my God, really? Yeah, that's what we're all kind of thinking.
This is like a kid who knows more but is trying to lie type of thing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get back to the regular program, so buckle up. We'll be right back after these messages. Don't go away. right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Welcome back to the show, rather. We are into our second half hour now. We got through the news, and I hope you feel more informed than when you got here. I know I'm informed. I'm thrilled that they're not going to waste time investigating man-made UFOs.
What a statement!
I know, it's just so stupid. It's like, really? Well, good, because that's not the ones we're as concerned about. It's like somebody's drone. That's a drone. We're not checking that out. So I don't know. It's just very strange. What a strange statement to make. How do you create your music? Do you use something like GarageBand? On that last segment, yeah, that was just something I cooked up using samples in GarageBand. So it's not. I mean, I really don't feel like that's something I wrote. It's just something I assembled. The UFO break one. So that was with GarageBand on my tablet of all things, my iPad.
Nice.
But, yeah, that's how I did that last one. But I like GarageBand. I think it's a fun program, and I've got a lot of great ideas doing that. But usually the way I write most music is I'll just sit around with the guitar until I hear something, and it's like, ooh, that's kind of catchy, and then I'll play it and try to develop, bridges and refrains and all that stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I've written a lot of music, but not a lot of great music. Some songs have really turned out well, and I'm really proud of. Others are like, nobody's ever going to hear this ever. Nobody ever. But yeah, I like to either that or with the keyboard, sitting down at the keyboard, just plunking out notes. I don't play piano. I play with a piano, it's a synthesizer. So I'm not a musician. I'm a hack in every way, but I love it. So, but thanks.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into it. Oh, thank you, brother. Ghost Megas is a great talent. Thank you so much.
It's true.
That's very nice. I mean, obviously, there was a time in my life where I had a dream of doing music. That was really what I wanted to do, and I did pursue it for a number of years, just on a local level, and just trying to write and get music out there. But it never went anywhere. It's a tough thing. Even harder than YouTube, believe it or not. So getting into music is tough. And the music scene nowadays is so... Actually, I was just having a discussion with a listener and friend the other day, and music nowadays is just a flow chart. It's just these flow charts. There's not a lot of heart and soul in it like there used to be. There's still great songs out there, don't get me wrong, but doesn't have that same emotion that the music used to have in a lot of cases. There's still great bands out there that are doing it the right way, but there's a lot of mechanical stuff out there. So anyway, but thank you. This isn't the music portal. Let's get on with the show.
True. Okay. All right.
But I appreciate the support. You guys, thank you so much. So I've got a lot of stuff pulled up. We'll get through what we can tonight, and then we'll get to the rest of it tomorrow night. But we're going to get into some ghost stories now. It's something that on these live shows we've been covering a lot of cryptids lately for a long time. And I know, I don't mind doing that because I love all of this stuff. I love UFO stuff. I love the cryptids. I love the ghostly. I love the strange phenomena. To me, I'd talk about any of it all day long for, years and years and years and never get tired of it. But I know that our audience, the current audience, is very largely a part of a lot of the cryptid community. You guys are the ones that seem to have found the portal first, and maybe that's because a lot of great friends have helped to promote the shows that are involved in that, whether it's Sasquatch Chronicles, Wes, Tony Merkel from the Confessionals, or Carrie from Bigfoot Odyssey, and Daniela, or any number of other people have been a big part of it. But it's we've got a lot of followers in the cryptid community. But I do love the ghostly stuff too, and honestly, it's what I've had the most experience with personally. I've had a lot of different spiritual encounters and ghostly encounters in my life, and I have had what I believe is one cryptid encounter years and years ago when I was 14, but seriously, what I've been through the most is really wacky spiritual stuff. So we're going to get into this article from Thought Catalog tonight, and this is 25 ghost stories that might make you believe in life after death. And again, there is a finite pool of this stuff. I mean, online, there's probably the most of what you'll find is ghost stuff, really. If you're really looking for the whole breadth and scope of the paranormal, what you'll find the most of out there is ghost stories and stuff. But they still sometimes are redundant. So if you hear repeats and stuff, it's not me trying to recycle material. It's just that sometimes material gets printed in a lot of different sources. So we do run into that, and I do apologize, but it happens. So this article is written by Emily Madriga, and it was last updated October 26, 2021. So last year, I guess, around Halloween. So it's the first one is, and again, these are probably Reddit aggregates again. So they come from threads on Reddit where they farm these communities and threads and find great accounts. It says, I was around 10 years old and living in San Antonio. I got back to the apartment first after school, about 5 minutes of being in the place alone, and I saw on the reflection of a mirror an older man in a tuxedo was in the kitchen. I flipped out and ran to my room and grabbed a bat and waited 10-ish minutes before coming out. I locked the door when I got home and never heard the door open for someone to leave. I didn't tell anyone about it, but fast forward 6 years, I was watching Ghost Hunters with my family, and my mom asked if I remember the old man in the tux. Crazy stuff. Wow. So apparently several people witnessed this, Sheldon.
Yeah. Geez. I mean, at least it's confirmation that you weren't, going crazy.
Right. You know what I find interesting, and this is kind of curious, but it's several cultures, especially Slavic cultures and such, have rituals that after someone dies in the family, they cover all of the mirrors with black cloth for 3 days because they don't want the spirit to get confused and trapped, in the house. Apparently the mirrors are a detriment to spiritual entities. So you got to wonder, is it possible this guy in the tux got trapped after he passed? Like, oh, what's going on? And never actually left. So
the mirror dimension.
Or something. I don't know if it's a dimension or what it is, but even, the ancient Celts, I believe, thought that mirrors were very mystic and very magical. So I don't know. Maybe there's something to that. Maybe there is.
Yeah.
So that was the first story. I don't know who to attribute that to because it's just got a bunch of dots. Looks like all of these just have dots, so I won't be able to give people credit for their stories. But it says, my dad's story, not mine. Early 1980s, he's working a summer job at Yellowstone National Park in Wyoming. One day, he and his friend Mark hiked up to the top of one of the mountains. They set up their tent inside an Indian pit, a man-made hole dug out by Native Americans hundreds of years ago. The pits were either used as a hunting blinds or spots where young braves came for their vision quest. Late in the night, my dad wakes up and has to use the bathroom. Number one. He said number one. So he wasn't rolling a deuce up there on the mountain. He just had to roll a one. He crawled out of the tent, out of the pit, and went walking a respectable distance away from the tent. Suddenly, he felt a hand on his shoulder pull him backwards. My dad calls out, "Hey, Mark, what are you doing?" He turns around, turns on his flashlight, and there's nobody there. He shines the light at his feet and discovers that his next couple of steps would have taken him directly over a steep cliff. He did his business and hurried back to the tent. The next morning, the two friends are waking up and his buddy says to him, "I know this sounds crazy, but I woke up in the middle of the night and I swear to you there was an Indian man standing outside of our tent." Whatever really happened that night, my dad is alive. He met my mom in Yellowstone, and here I am writing the story to you today. Wow.
Oh. Whoa.
That's a cool intervention, right?
Yeah, like a guardian of the land or something.
Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly. So did this person, was he a member of the tribe, or was that just a visage that he embodied because of the tribe that lived there? But is it a nature spirit? Is it a guardian from that tribe? That's really cool. That's awesome. I love that story.
Like stories like that.
Yeah, me too. All right, the next one. My mom believes in good spirits and getting blessings for good luck and protection by putting out food offerings for them on our dining room table. My mom does this for special days, and after she's done with her prayers, that's when everyone can eat. She usually does it in the morning, and then by the afternoon, that's when the food is free for the taking. So it's a typical afternoon. I was online on my laptop in my room, and I got hungry. My room was connected to a small hallway, and at the end of the hallway is the living room and the dining table. So I opened my door and stepped out into the hallway, and I saw something on top of the table eating. It was kind of hard to make out at first because I'm nearsighted, and this thing was kind of transparent. I got closer and stopped halfway through the hallway and realized there was a literal transparent brown monkey on the table. It was making motions as if it was eating some of the fruit offerings. It didn't notice me yet, and in my disbelief, I got even closer, but when I stopped in my tracks again, right at the end of the hallway, it noticed me and got startled. I'm startled, the monkey's startled, and I'm just standing there and not believing my eyes. Very quickly, this transparent monkey just jumps off the table and ambles off hastily towards the exit where the outer door is locked. That's it. I just stood there staring at the door where it fled, and I'm just like, wow, I can't believe what I saw. In American horror movies and scary stories, there's hardly anything about ghost monkeys. I don't consume that kind of content. And ghost monkey? Who'd have thunk it? Anyway, later on, I told my mom about what I saw, and she didn't even blink. I might as well have told her that the sky is blue. I'm her daughter, etc. She really believes in spirits that much and didn't doubt my story at all. Also, years later, I told one of my coworkers, who is also a Cambodian around my age, speaks fluently and has also been to Cambodia, about my experience. He said that there's a lot of monkeys in Cambodia, and I didn't know this at all, and have never seen a monkey in real life. My mom doesn't talk about monkeys and owns nothing related to monkeys, so that's my story. Neither me nor a ghost monkey expected to be spooked that day. Wow. That is cool,
yeah.
though. So, yeah, I mean, why couldn't nature spirits embody natural forms, right?
That's what I was going to say something along those lines. Yeah, exactly.
Sure. So, I mean, you think of things like in, what is it? I don't remember is it Hinduism or something, but Hanuman is this monkey god. And of course, there's a version of that in China as well, the Monkey King and such. But I mean, there's plenty of cultures around the world that have, animal-like monkeys, and Hinduism is filled with them, like Ganesh, the elephant god, and such. So, and then you look at ancient Egypt. Of course, there was a lot of natural embodiments, meldings between these animals and human forms. So, yeah, I think that's perfectly makes sense to me. I think it's wonderful. Why not?
Yeah, I don't see a reason why that couldn't happen.
Ghost Magnet says, hey, for the monkeys. People say, that's probably beyond your age, Sheldon, but there's a show called The Monkees. It was like,
really?
Kind of like a Beatles kind of band from the 60s. And they had some great music. I'm sure you've heard the music, but I'm not going to try to sing it for you because it's not my thing. But I used to love the Monkees. Actually, one of the songs was the theme song was "Hey, we're the Monkees." So that was kind of cool. I'm kind of aging myself right now publicly, but that's okay. I stayed at my grandmother's house, and my father spent a large amount of time in it as a kid. My father drove us there in one go and was understandably tired after a 17-hour drive. We all started to lay down, and my father checked in on us before going to bed himself. As he was talking, and excuse me, hold on. You jerk. As he was talking, he stopped himself and told us to cover a large mirror, or you will have nightmares. Now, nightmares from a mirror of all things sounded like a little fun to me, but my brothers, who were also sleeping in the same room, asked me to cover it, and I did. I asked my dad about it before he left, and he said that ghosts use it as an entryway. A week later, I brought it up with my grandmother, and she scoffed, saying, "Oh, this house ain't haunted." Well, I agreed, but told her that the reason I brought it up was because my dad told me to cover the mirror. My grandmother then changed her expression and said, "Oh, the mirror." Apparently that mirror came from her grandmother. She worked as a nurse and took in those who were going to die, rather. but could not pay for their care in their last days, so she made her home into a hospice. Those who stayed in the room with the mirror saw things. A lovely old lady saw and heard a young lady come into her room and played a harp. She was thankful for the lovely songs, but no person was known, nor was a harp owned or heard elsewhere. A young boy found an older boy who played games with him, and he really knew his games. And lastly, a terrible woman refused to use the bathroom and pooped in a cooking pot and hid it under her bed, as well as argue issued everyone daily. I don't know what that means. Saw, and this was her last words, the devil that spat fire at her. The police were called, and she tried to accuse the nurse of trying to kill her with the devil. I also got stories from my mother seeing the same young lady who played the harp without her harp that time. And my grandfather seeing the devil guy. My grandfather also described it as a red man with horns that was too tall for the room he was in, so he, still standing up straight, bent his neck down to fit. It stared down at him and simply asked slowly, "Why are you here?" I kept that mirror covered.
I would see. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a good bet. Just cover the damn mirror. Don't play no games like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of horror stuff about mirrors, like even what is it, Bloody Mary stuff, like even stories like that always involve a mirror.
Well, there's a lot of occult history to mirrors and using mirrors for scrying, divination, and spells. And so mirrors are largely considered gateways in many esoteric beliefs. So it's got to be based on something. And I'm not saying that they're right or wrong. I'm just saying, believe what you want. But I will say, if you believe something is true, then it is true for you, and you will probably have experiences that justify that belief. There's power in belief.
That's true.
All right. When I was 5th grade once, I forgot to put my school uniform in the laundry basket. So the next day I needed it for school, and it was dirty. I went to have breakfast in my pajamas while I was thinking how to tell my mom I didn't have my uniform clean. When I came back to my room, there was a woman I have never seen before in her 40s, brown dress, dark hair, ironing my uniform. I blinked, and she was gone. I would have assumed I hallucinated the whole thing, but my uniform was there, clean, dried, ironed, and ready for me to use. And it couldn't have been ironed by anyone else because my parents had breakfast with me and my sister was a baby. Wow. That's the kind of haunting everybody needs. I got
my laundry.
I got a pile of clothes from the dryer out on the couch right now, and it'd be awesome to get done with the show and they were all folded.
Yeah,
I'm just putting that out there that, if there's any awesome spirits that want to help out, that'd be a great way to help.
Yeah, let's put that energy out there.
I mean, could you imagine if you had a ghost that loved to drag a vacuum around or dust? Really? Yeah, that'd be about ideal. That'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if they're going to be there, they might as well pitch in. But all right. So the next one up on the stories. From the time I was about 12 to 17 years old, I lived in what I believe was a haunted house. I've never had experiences like I had in that house since moving out. A few specific memories come to mind. One, I was hanging up laundry in my closet and I heard someone whisper my name in my ear, clear as day. I'd never sprinted out of a room so fast. Another time, my sister and I had friends over and we decided to use a tape recorder to ask questions to the ghosts like they do on those paranormal shows. We played the tape, not expecting to hear anything, and we could hear a very soft voice say, "I'm in the closet." We were sitting near a small closet in the basement. My parents eventually decided to sell the house, and we moved into a new place before selling this place. My sister stopped by the house after there had been a couple of showings to turn out the lights in the house, and she went to turn off the lights in the basement, which had multiple light switches, and one was at the far end of the basement, away from the stairs. She turned off the light and swears she heard heavy footfalls of someone running towards her. Oh, that's a horrible thing. God, that is so horrible. She ran out of the house without turning out the rest of the lights and locked the door. That was the last time either of us went back until we were in the neighborhood, and the new owners offered to show us the renovations they made. Nothing happened then, but they did ask us if we wanted to babysit their kids. We politely declined.
God, yeah, something wanted them out.
Yeah, and that's not unusual. Sometimes it's just a certain individual will have all the activity. Like there's something, I mean, everybody knows that experience, right? You go, you meet people and you get along with some people, excellent, but there's other people like, yeah, I don't click with that person. There's something not right between us, whatever it is. And I'm not saying it's their fault or my fault, but it's just everybody has that experience. I think the same is true for spirits. Like they don't mind some people being in their house and other people just rub them wrong. And they probably try to disrupt their lives just because get out.
Yeah, it makes me think if there's more to the story, like maybe the spirit felt they were disrespecting their old house type of thing, and that was the last straw and wanted them out, that type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing, how does that work? Tape recorders picking up things that are not heard.
The microphones can pick up a broader scale than our ears can hear. So the idea is that's one belief. Another belief is because it's a magnet, and ghosts utilize electromagnetic energy, so it's believed, so they can interact directly with the microphone to record sound. And it may not be an audible sound, but it's recorded on the medium, or it's a magnetic medium in some cases. But it's all a part of instrumental transcommunication, or ITC. And there's lots of different theories that are involved in that. But I mean, I've heard some pretty incredible things through, ITC experiments. And I believe there's something there. In fact, when Charles and I were investigating at the Davenport Hotel, we were doing questions up in the room, and a couple of things kept happening. And I haven't really put the whole video together, or even much of it actually, because I just haven't had the time. But one of the things that kept happening there was that I would kick off my flip-flops next to my bed. And this room is the clown room in the Davenport Hotel, which is allegedly the most haunted room. Okay. I kicked off my flip-flops next to the one bed that I was using. He was using the other bed, and walk around in the room, because I prefer to be barefoot. I hate wearing shoes at all, but when I have to, I wear flip-flops because, there's most close to being barefoot. But anyway, kick off my shoes. I'd go back. There'd be one shoe there. And I'd be like, where the hell's my other shoe? And then I'd look under the bed. It was under the bed. So I did it once, pulled it out. I'm like, I don't remember kicking it, but it went under the bed. Did the same thing again after we went in and out, came back, and I kicked off my shoes by the bed. This time I paid attention to the fact that I gently left both shoes next to the bed. Walked in to use the bathroom, came back out. One shoe is by the bed, the other is under the bed again. And I'm like,
oh, okay.
This is pretty cool. But and it wasn't freaky, it wasn't horrifying or anything. It was just like, oh yeah, there's something being mischievous. And so we were doing an EVP session. We got a little digital recorder out, and we were asking questions, and didn't get any direct responses that we could tell. But in one part, it was a real quick initial EVP session. There was the sound of a little boy, like a little child voice, like, hey. That we didn't hear it at the time, but when we played it back, it was there. It's like, oh, now there was nobody else having a room near our room, so there was no other kids or anything going on there. It was just a neat experiment. But when I got home and listened back, I'm not hearing it anymore, and that's a weird phenomenon too, because it was on there, and I really got to really play with it to see if I can really jack it up. I know where the sound should be, but I'm not hearing it. So.
Did you hear it when you were still at the hotel?
Yeah, because we played it back right after we got done asking a few questions, and heard it in the playback, and we both were like, oh, we both heard it, and we're like, oh, we didn't hear that at the time, so we knew it was anomalous. But then the weird part is to get home and replay it again and not hear it. It's like, ugh. So
guess what happens at the hotel stays at the hotel.
Yeah, it's like the Davenport Vegas Hotel. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But anyway, the EVP stuff is really cool. And there's another lot of people use like the spirit boxes or the fast scanning radios and other sound bank samples. Like I use one that has a sound bank that just plays syllables. It doesn't play words. It just plays pieces of words. And the idea is called stochastic resonance, that a spirit can take an existing white noise and mold it and shape it into a word or a response. And I've heard things come out of there that are like, no way. So, all right, we're going to go to break. This is the hour break, folks. We'll be right back with more of the Paranormal Portal. Don't go away.
Play their games. Everybody loves to place their bets. They don't understand the price I paid. They don't care to comprehend. Trace their lines upon my body, ripping scars across my heart. Raging anger boils inside me as their lies keep falling apart. With my silence, I am not a stupid boy. No more breaking me with kindness, just you dance upon my joy. Leading me with empty promise, you're just another fucking mess. Taking off the slice of my sanity, just make sure that you're well fed.
Like it. Caroline is not like those she's with. They're attracted to the one thing about her that is different from themselves. Her life force. It is very strong. It gives off its own illumination. It is a light that implies life and memory of love and home and earthly pleasures. Something they desperately desire, but can't have anymore. Right now, she's the closest thing to that.
Poltergeists are usually associated with an individual. Hauntings seem to be connected with an area. A house, usually.
Poltergeist disturbances are fairly short duration, perhaps a couple of months. Hauntings can go on for years.
Ooh. Well, welcome back, everybody. We are back in hour number 2, and we actually have a phone call. So
Nice.
we should get to the phone call. It looks like he's been there for 16 minutes. Oops. Well, 17 now. But thanks for holding the line. And let's get to the call. And this is area code 410. You're on the air, Mr. Android.
Hey, fellas, how's it going?
Good, brother.
Hey,
How you doing?
Android.
So, I wanted to call to give you an update of what's going on in the house here.
Ooh, what's going on?
So, we were going to bed about, I think 3 nights ago. And, well, I was going to bed. My girlfriend was actually already asleep. And, I just brushed my teeth and was getting into bed. And recently I had gotten into this thing where I kind of listen to like soothing kind of sounds and stuff. Like I'll put one earbud in my ear to while I fall asleep sometimes. And I usually sleep on my side. So one ear is covered, with the pillow, and the other ear has the earbud in. And I get in bed and I lay my head down and I'm laying there and I start playing the music or the sounds and then I thought I heard Brett, you have a cat. Does your cat ever scratch at things like for attention or just to be annoying?
Yeah. He plays. He does like the boxer's speed bag on the blinds on the front door if he wants to go outside. It's like blah 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 blah.
Yeah,
blah, blah.
exactly.
Oh.
Yeah. So my cat will she'll if she wants attention or she wants fed or she wants something.
Sure.
She'll she's not sharpening her claw. She's just scratching at something kind of gently and making a bunch of noise.
Yes. Yeah.
And it sounded just like her doing that on this cardboard box I have in my room.
Okay.
And I was like, I'm about to get her up and get up and kick her out of the room, because she can keep me up all night. And
are you there? Uh-oh.
Android?
I don't know. We lose him or what? What happened?
Uh-oh.
He's still showing up on the call board, but it's like maybe he disconnected.
The ghost doesn't want him telling him the story.
Let me try remuting and unmuting, see if that works. Are you there, Android?
You there?
Yeah, now we're here.
Aha!
There you are. So you woke up,
Okay.
You're about to kick the cat out, and then what happened?
And then, so, I was laying down to go to bed, heard that sound, and I'm like, I'm going to have to kick her out. And then, but then I realized, well, wait a minute. She was just right beside me literally 1 minute ago. I just laid down. And then I realized I can feel her against my back. And I sat up and I turned over, and she was sitting right there.
Ooh.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh my God. And then, it was as clear. It was so loud. It wasn't any a faint sound. I could hear it through my earbud.
Wow.
And my girlfriend was beside me, and I was pretty sure she was awake, because usually when I get into bed, she kind of wakes up a little bit. It kind of wakes her up a little bit.
Sure.
So I said, did you hear that? And she goes, yeah. And then I knew she probably just thought it was the cat, and I went, "It's not the cat. She's right beside me." And then she took her, like, she sleeps with a sleep mask on recently, and she took her sleep mask off and looked at me, and I'm like, "I'm serious. Look, she's right here." And she was like, "Oh my God."
Wow.
And I was like, I told you, I saw the shadows in the shower when you were gone out of state. I'm like, I'm telling you, something is going on. That was, and she was like, she couldn't go to sleep for like a little while after that. And that was all that happened. But it was like, I was like, couldn't believe what happened. And then she had brought something up that I didn't realize, but it was 3 scratches. And, you know, they say, oh, you know, the 3 things mocking of the Holy Trinity, right? Sure. And it was at a little after 3 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's the right time for that kind of stuff to happen. I'm not a big believer in the whole mocking of the Trinity thing. I don't know where they come up with that, other than I think a lot.
Yeah, I don't know where that comes from either. I guess Zach started that whole thing or something. I'm not sure.
I don't really subscribe to that. There does seem to be, I mean, many observations religiously and spiritually around the world, and you know, and they embrace the 3s. 3s are a very mystic number, so I don't think it's a mocking of the Trinity, but it seems to be symbolic of something, but I don't think that that's what it is. Just me personally. I can only speak for myself. But,
right.
Yeah.
I heard somewhere, I don't remember where I heard it, but I don't know if this is true or if this is factual or not, but they say that Jesus was crucified at 3 p.m. or 3-something p.m., and that's, you know, 3-something a.m. is the opposite of that, and that's the reason for, you know, I don't know.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah, the 3 scratches on the back are the mocking of the Trinity. Yeah. There may be something to it. I just don't believe that we know enough to make distinctions like that, but it is interesting that 3s keep coming up, whether it's scratches.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely believe that it seems to be there's more paranormal activity around 3 a.m., but I don't know why.
3 to 4 a.m., that's the witching hours, or the witching hour, according to paranormal investigators especially. They say that there's no question that if you're going to have activity, that's when it's going to happen. So.
Yeah, it's when the veil is the most thin, I guess, or something.
Yeah, it must be. It must be a 24-hour cycle biorhythm, and that must be when it's easiest for them to come through. That's probably really, really, actually right on. I think you're on the nose there. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe it has something to do with sun radiation or something, you know, we're the furthest away from the sun around that time or something like that, you know, who knows? Yeah,
I think you could be right. But yeah, that's really cool, man. And keep us posted as always, man. I like these updates. Did your cat seem to be bothered at all, or was it just like?
No, that's the weird thing is, I'm wondering if maybe she wasn't bothered just because she was, you know, kind of half asleep. So I don't know.
Well,
it's hard to say.
The reason that I ask is because I think the animals are obviously very sensitive to the spiritual, but I think their reaction means a lot. Like if your cat was freaking out and growling and hissing, and then you heard that, then you might have to be really getting active and getting it out of there. But if your cat wasn't freaking out, it's not for sure, but at least it's a good indicator that whatever it is doesn't sound like it's trying to hurt you. And it's probably not malicious, but it's there, you know, for whatever reason. So, you know, when dogs and cats react poorly and you know, then in my mind, there's more reason for concern. But the fact that the cat was just like, oh, yeah, I think they can just see that stuff. My cat Anubis will just look around and watch something going around. And it's not a mosquito. It's not a fly. There's nothing, but just sit and watch things go around my head a lot of times. And it's like, I'm not sure what you're seeing, but he doesn't seem bothered by it, so I'm not worried about it.
Right, yeah. And it was totally a dumbfounding experience. And, you know, if it wasn't for my cat laying beside me, I wouldn't even have thought anything about it.
Sure, because you would have just assumed it was the cat. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And even if I would have sat up and didn't see her, I would have thought, okay, she left the room or something.
Yeah, she made that noise and bolted. Right. Yep. Good call, brother. Well, just be careful. Yeah. I mean, until you know what it is, just be careful. Maybe you want to give Deb or Sean a call and see if they can see what's going on. You know, reach out.
Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. I bought some sage about a week ago. I haven't used it yet. Maybe I will now that had happened.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Just so weird, you know, it goes like, you know, weeks with no activity, nothing happened at all. And then, you know,
Right. Yeah. And that's why I don't think it's necessarily very dark and malicious, because it's more nuisance things like, hey, I'm here, and it's not like
Right.
you're throwing stuff at you, or something
As long
like
as it
that.
doesn't escalate, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
And it's been going on for several months
Absolutely.
now, right? Like this is several months of activity, right?
Yeah, it's been probably 3 months now since the first thing happened, since I saw that shadow, or since I felt something,
Right. So it doesn't sound like it's real dark or trying to cause problems, but yeah, maybe get a hold of Deb and see if she can see what's going on.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll look into that.
All right, brother. Well, thank you for calling in. It's great to hear
All right.
from you.
Yeah, you too, guys. Have a good one.
All right, good night.
Take care, Android.
All right.
Android is one of our mods, for those of you that don't know. So it's been going through this for a while. Calls in with updates as new activity happens, and that stuff is. I honest to God, and I don't know what's wrong with me. I think this stuff is cool. I really do. I don't know if I'm stupid or if it's just because, again, I don't think most of it is malicious. I don't think most of it is really dark and horrible. I just think there's things that exist, whether they were people or not, that just exist within our experience. And I think we automatically we default to a fear state, like, oh, I don't know what that is. It scares me. But yeah. I just think, if anything, it's just continually demonstrating that there's more going on around us than we know. And just because something exists outside of our ability to perceive it doesn't mean that it's negative. It doesn't mean that it's horrible or looking for problems. It's just something that is there. It's like finding a new species, I think. Like when science discovers a new species, it's a groundbreaking moment because it helps to help our understanding of the natural world. I think these things also help our understanding of the natural world if they weren't just dismissed. The fact that they're so readily dismissed by most of our scientific communities, to me, is a bit frustrating, because I think we're missing something really important here, and it's something that would maybe help us to understand the nature of our existence much better. So, but anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder. Another thing about the you said it was 3 months ago was his last encounter, right?
Another 3, huh?
Yeah, another 3. 3 scratches 3 months ago. I hope it's not a pattern, at least.
Well, I don't think the 3s are. People like to throw around that, and I'm not making fun of anybody. I mean, it certainly is an interpretation, but based on what? That it's a mocking of the Trinity, and I don't buy that. I just don't think we know enough about this phenomena to be able to say, well, that's obviously something evil. It's mocking the Trinity. Well.
Oh yeah.
Because you have that view doesn't make that real. It's just, I don't know. Just threes are a powerful number for a lot of people. And for a lot of, again, spiritual observations around the world. 3 is, it can be found. The mystic 3s are found in many different practices worldwide. So, and it's not just a Christian reference. It's really not. It's many, many, many references and many different observations. So. I don't know. Again, is it numerology? Maybe it's gematria. I don't know. And I don't pretend to know much about it, but I just intuitively, I don't think it's necessarily like Antichrist, because it's 333. Again, just my 2 cents, whatever that's worth, and I don't know if it's worth anything, but but it's mine.
Oh. Rachel says it's like 3: 1 to get your attention, 2 to make sure you hear it, and then 3 to let you know it's happening.
Yeah, right. It's easy to ignore 1.
Yeah.
It's harder to ignore 2, but can you ignore 3? That's a good point.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe there's something to that.
It's like the sweet spot. Yeah, 4 is just obnoxious. You can't go to
4 is just that's just going overboard. You're just being a dick at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
3 blind mice, 3 little pigs. Yep, lots of 3s.
3 Musketeers by Nathan Nate. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of 3s. Like even in our
the triple goddess
and
in witchcraft, Caradwen, the triple goddess. There's many different trinities that are mentioned in several religions and observations. There's so much there, but and again, just because things are demonstrated sometimes in 3 in these spiritual experiences doesn't mean it's a mocking or an evil representation. Maybe they're celebrating the Trinity, like, in the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, I'm here, Yeah. maybe it's a very Christian reference. We don't know. 3 shots in my drink. There you go, Elaine. I hear you. Good one, Nate. Yeah, exactly. Thank you guys for the input on these things, because again, this is a conversation. This show is a conversation, and it's not just my conversation; it's our conversation. Speaking of conversation, Sheldon,
you beat me to it. Okay, yep. Let's go to the Discord conversation. Thankfully, today's topic is on ghosts, so this fits in just perfectly. So, if you guys don't know, every week we have a set of 3 questions for each of our 3 shows that is meant to be a discussion on different topics, just to see where people are at and why they think so, just so that we can talk about things, because we believe that is very important for what we do. So for today's question, generally when people talk about ghosts, it is talked about in a general sense, all-encompassing for any encounter. But do you believe there are different types of ghosts, like there are different types of cryptids, and why? Mm-hmm. So our first response with 4th color says, definitely, it seems like people encounter many different phenomena that could fall under the umbrella term of ghost activity. Things like shadow people, orbs, poltergeists, disembodied voices, or even the spirit of somebody who has passed on. It seems like some lingering spirits can be interactive or mischievous, while other ghosts play like loops of an echo from the past. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good point. It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
But, it's really interesting. I know we can't really say much as yes or no, obviously, but it's really interesting to think of these things, right. The possibilities, whether it's just a different form of the same thing, mm-hmm. or if they're different entities altogether. That's a really interesting concept.
Right.
Maggie M10 says, I think there are definitely different forms of energy manifesting in various ways. Beyond that, I just don't know. The subject of ghosts/ghostly phenomena seems rather complicated. At this point, it's easier for me to generally call it all ghostly activity. Then look for the subtle differences or research others' experiences to perhaps find a common theme or think about what could be behind it. It's a big subject I don't know much about. And that's true. I mean, all we know is what we see and what we hear and what we experience. So, like, that's the other half of it too, is that it's, is it just different forms of the same thing, or are they different entirely? What are your thoughts, Dad?
I think there's a whole catalog of things that exist as spirits to us. In other words, we are a specific vibration of matter in a specific continuity on this plane. But I think there's things that are either higher or lower vibrating than us, and vibration is just a term I'm throwing at it because I'm not a scientist. But I really think that there's a lot of things going on all around us. And for us, sometimes they peek into our experience as what are akin to ghostly experiences. Like maybe it's partially visible, translucent looking being or person walking by. And perhaps there's things that were never people. And they exist just as robustly in their own experience as we do. It's just maybe they're only marginally aware of us too. Maybe we peek into their experience as ghostly, visages or whatever. And so I think that there's that, although I do think that there are certainly formerly living people that exist in an energetic state that come and they maybe watch over us. Maybe they still participate in our lives in a non-physical manner or, in our dreams or whatever. But I think so. I think there's a whole catalog of things that we just give the stamp of ghost. It's a ghost. That's it. It's kind of like, other things where I was like, oh, it's pareidolia, it's or whatever. There's just these rubber stamp terms. And so we use ghost because it's just a common term of understanding, but I don't think it's a description. I don't think that it accurately defines and describes the phenomena. I think that some things were never people, but they were in our folklores and stuff. perhaps like gnomes and other small diminutive creatures that we sometimes see and sometimes don't. Maybe perhaps many of the cryptids are existing, much like the Dogman video from out of Florida, where that guy was looking, out his back door. It looked like a dogman, but it was like a cloud dogman, so it's like in phase or out of phase or just out of phase. And so we don't know what to do with those things. So we just have this rubber stamp of ghost or spirit. And I think that even that's true of what we understand as extraterrestrial intelligences. Maybe they do come from the other ends of the stars, but maybe they're not quite in phase with us. So they appear in our experience more as spiritual, but they're very physical in their own, So I just think there's something more to it. Rachel says, yes, different ghosts in certain cultures. There are ghosts that seek to consume energy, hungry ghosts, or in Western culture, poltergeist, human appearing angry ghosts to frighten us. Yeah. And then there's the tulpa stuff, that may be what poltergeists are. They are projections or manifestations of a person's psychology that are projected into the world around them. So I think we have this whole scope of things that are going on, and we just give it ghost or haunting, because we only have a couple terms that describe this non-physical phenomena. So,
yeah. Andrew, Android Purity also commented on it. He says, I believe there is human ghosts, both good and bad, then non-human ghosts, angelic and demonic, but just my personal religious beliefs.
Sure.
So yeah, there are at least 3 different types I personally believe. There's a 3.
Yep,
potentially more, like dogman, ghouls, and skinwalkers and wendigos. I think could be a spiritual thing for some of some sort too. That's a good point too, because if the other like cryptids are of a spiritual type, that would indicate that there are different types of spirits / ghosts as well.
Right. Yeah. So it's a grab bag of possibilities, but and again, there's no wrong answers, as Wes always says on Sasquatch Chronicles. We just don't know. But these are all great thoughts, and thank you all for participating in them. And going forward, if you're not already involved in our Discord, did you put a link in, Sheldon?
Oh, I'm just about to. Yes.
Okay. If you're not already involved in our Discord, please join. And there's a communication thread in our Discord server where you'll find the questions of the week. And this was tonight's question, but we'll have another one up for tomorrow, probably posted yet after the show tonight, that you're welcome to comment. We love any and all contributions to that, because, there aren't any wrong answers. There's just ideas, and again, the show's always been a discussion mostly. So I just think it's great. The more of you that get involved, the bigger and better this show becomes. And that includes just coming to watch it, come and hang out, be a part of the chat as the live shows are happening, be a part of the Discord as the opportunities arise there, or start threads of your own or discussions of your own. Again, Sheldon and I are in there as well. So, I just want the portal to be as robust a community as possible. And there is a limit to how much I can do and how much Sheldon can do, but it's not just our community. It's all of ours, including yours. Mm-hmm. So make it yours as well. Love to have your involvement in these shows. And if you're active over on Discord and you think you'd be a good mod over there, let me know. We have a couple mods already. Android is one, and as is Fourth Color. But if you want to be a part of that, let me know. So absolutely, Mere Nuisance. I have a whole notebook of ghost questions, even though I don't smoke anymore. Yeah, I honestly. I little biographical information. I went through a whole phase of smoking a lot of stuff, mostly pot and stuff back in the day. But I have to say that's, you can come to some pretty profound places by just looking at things differently. And so, a lot of people make fun of, the stoner questions, but I think sometimes you have to get outside of your box to really see things in a different light. And during that time, I had some of the most profound thoughts of my life, just seeing things a little differently than normal. I am not advocating that to anybody. So, make your own decisions, do your own research before you do anything to see if it works, it's a good look for you. But, we all go through phases in our life. We all go through this journey. And I can understand that one. So, all right, let's see. Where are we? We are literally a minute out from the break.
My Lanta.
Huh?
Oh, my Lanta. Yeah, it just always goes so fast.
Oh, my Lanta. I just want to put this up on the page because we got about a minute here before the break. So I want to let you guys know that in September 8th through the 11th, Don and I are heading down to Vernal, Utah. We're going to be checking out this show right here, and we're going to Phenomicon. Phenomicon is happening in Vernal, Utah, 8th through the 11th of September. Go to phenomicon.net. Phenomicon.net. And check it out. Lots of amazing speakers going to be there. The Expedition Bigfoot speakers are going to be there. These several people from the Mysteries at Skinwalker Ranch are there. Dr. Jeff Meldrum will be there. April Slaughter, she's into ghosts. James Vieira, the Giants. So much going on, and a whole schedule of events that you can check out. Again, phenomicon.net, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to go to the break. This is our last break, and we'll be right back with the last segment of our show tonight. Don't go away. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're just kinging everybody around here. So anyway,
Promotions.
welcome back, everybody. We're in the last stretch of the show. Excuse me. Wow. I'm just having a hairball over here, but I'm better. I got better. So we have a few articles that I wanted to go through, and congratulations, Wonder Woman. You've been a part of our community for a long time, and thank you for becoming a mod. I didn't know you wanted to be a mod, but I appreciate it. There's a ton of people I would just throw wrenches at in this chat because you guys are all amazing. You guys are. There's so many of you that are here every time we do a show, and I don't know. I to be honest with you, I didn't know people really wanted to be mods because I thought it's kind of a pain in the butt for most people. It's like, but if that's something you're interested in, let me know. I mean, we don't need a room full of mods, but it certainly helps to have moderators here, always when we do the live shows. So it's okay to have a few wrenches out there, but, yeah, let me know if that's something you're interested in. I'll put you on the list. Again, I don't want to have 50 mods, but if you're interested in becoming a mod, if somebody ever isn't able to, come onto the shows too much, then we can certainly throw a wrench at you. It's my pleasure if you guys want to step up and be a part of what we're doing on the shows and help to keep everything peaceful. That's wonderful. Yeah, because I know the show is growing because we're getting more of the porn stuff on here. It's like, oh God,
Oh yeah.
They're showing up for the live shows. In fact, the last hour, usually at the last half hour, we get about 3 or 4 of them. But Sheldon and the other mods have been doing a great job knocking those out as soon as they happen. But just know that as the show grows, we're going to get more and more of that. So being a mod could become really unfun in a hurry. So I appreciate those of you that want to do it because it really helps out a ton. I think that a lot of times, a lot of problems in these live shows can kill a show. And so you guys really keep things peaceful and wonderful. The mods we do have and the whole chat community. I really actually feel sorry for anybody that wants to come in and troll this chat because they get dogpiled hard. It's just great. They do. It's just like, ooh, I'm glad I'm not that guy. We've had a few through the years, and man, it's not pretty. They just get hammered. So you guys are awesome. I appreciate it. But anyway, I want to go through some Phantoms and Monsters articles here. I got a few of them that I've been holding on to for weeks as something that I want to get to, but we don't always get time, just the way the shows go. And of course, always the calls are most important. Thank you, Android, for calling in tonight. That's really cool. I love that stuff when you guys call in, and those of you contributing in chat as well. That's really cool. So, Rachel, you are my protective earwax.
Yeah.
You're the best earwax a guy could have. I appreciate it. So, yeah, don't ask me your nuisance. Don't ask. It's where the ugly stuff comes. But anyway, the article I want to go through is again from phantomsandmonsters.com. This is Lon Strickler's site. It's been a pillar of the paranormal 40 communities for ages, and it's really well done. They do a lot of work over there, both as archivists of claims and stuff, but also as they do research efforts over there. And they've got teams across the country, I know, in America, but possibly abroad as well. I don't know exactly how much research they're doing, but I know that part of the Phantoms and Monsters, a big part of what they're doing does involve several people around the states doing research in different phenomena, including the Dogman, the Mothman, winged humanoids, and more. So, and of course Bigfoot. So they've got a lot of things going on there. And of course, Lon is a published author, has several books under his belt. So you can go over there and also check out Phantoms and Monsters podcast. Find all the information at phantomsandmonsters.com. But the article we're going to get into now is Bigfoot to Human Communication Explained by Experiencer. So I think everybody's heard about mind speak. There's claims out there of verbal communication with Bigfoot. There's all kinds of, the whole spectrum of claims are out there. And I don't pretend to know. I don't know. It seems fantastic to believe that there could be, a direct line of communication, whether through psychic means or otherwise, with these beings. I don't know that it's not possible. I don't know that it is possible because it's not something I've experienced personally, and all of the claims that I've ever heard of it are, anecdotal. Nothing I've experienced directly. So it's still one of those question marks, and I'm not trying to come across as a skeptic. I just don't know. I don't know what to make of stuff like this. I know I've been hearing the claims for a long time, for years, and maybe there's something to this, but let's check out this article and see what this person says. It says, an Alberta, Canada experiencer describes their encounter with Bigfoot and how it communicated with them. This was in reference to an article I recently posted about Bigfoot and lost time. I recently received the following account. Hello. I just read your article on the man who had missing time, and I found it interesting because my Bigfoot encounter up the road from my place was a super positive one. I even had a conversation with the Bigfoot. He speaks in images, but I'm used to that because I think in images and had to learn communication. God, did I already read this?
You have. Yep, I remember the story.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Well, I guess we covered that. There's a reason this tab was still open. Derp. I think it's, the mind speak stuff, the image speak to me kind of makes sense that, they may not know the words. Mind speak is an interesting phenomenon though, because, do the words come from them, or is it just our mind interpreting the energy they're sending and we turn it into words? I don't know. I think it's
from this story, that's what I thought too, is that it's our brain's interpretation.
Right. So we are the filter of it. Now, I think it's very possible because some surprising people have come forward saying that they believe in this mind speak stuff. And by that, I mean like Les Stroud, Survivor Man. He did the Bigfoot series and still continues to, I think, pursue this to some degree. And he's talked about potentially having mind speak. And he said it's a very unusual experience in that it was like somebody else's voice in your head. Like he heard a voice or felt a voice in his head. And it wasn't like the normal thoughts that you have like when you daydream. So I think it's fascinating, and I hope it's real. I really do. I just want to put that out there. It seems fantastic to believe in. And by fantastic, I mean both bizarrely fantastic and phenomenally fantastic. But if we could communicate, imagine the stories they could tell or what they could tell us about what's going on here in the world based on their experience. And to me, that would be an incredibly amazing thing. So I don't know.
Could even be tragic.
It could be. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of tragedy in there. I've heard possible ramifications of the distant past of our involvement in this world. And one of the things is a tragedy that happened that had to do with trying to eradicate the First Nations by some of the ancestral people coming over here. And it's a blemish, such a blemish, a horrible, horrible scar on the face of the world. But apparently they were trying to get a lot of the First Nations decimated to take the land, I guess. I mean, obviously it was motivated by greed and conquest, but one of the things that was done was to distribute blankets with smallpox exposure and then give them to the First Nations communities during trades, which obviously decimated a lot of the First Nations communities. But there's people that have speculated that perhaps that even spread as far as into the Sasquatch community. And I don't know how you can justify that or not. I don't know. But it's certainly horrible no matter what, as just a horrible measure to do against another people of any kind. But just the possibility that action also deeply and profoundly affected these Sasquatch, I think, is horrible. So it would be interesting to hear history in their words, or in their experience. But
yeah, I think I remember that that disease and sickness killed like 90%. It's a high number, like something crazy.
It was horrible. It was just horrible. And I know that, just by virtue of people from distant lands coming to new lands, you're going to introduce disease and illness that wasn't there before. And that alone can be decimating to any, indigenous population. I think it's happened all around the world as, people have explored and come to new places. And it wasn't, I don't think for the most part, it was anything aggressive and horrible, but it sounds like this smallpox thing was very deliberate and just evil, horrible blemish on the histories of this world. So, could it have affected them? Maybe. Yeah. So I guess we'll go to the next article, and that was also from Phantoms and Monsters from August 15th, 2022. Gorilla people in BC, personal Bigfoot sightings and encounters received from readers. And so gorilla people is an interesting way of describing them, but let's see what it says. Gorilla people in British Columbia. Okay. I've posted several personal Bigfoot accounts that we recently received, and it's interesting to see how people respond to their own sighting and how they describe the experience. These accounts have recently been forwarded to me by readers. First one. My dad had a strange encounter. He had snuck on lands the local natives near Fort Babine. Okay. British Columbia say is forbidden to them. When he went around trying to ask why, some native teens said the gorilla people live up there and don't like humans on their land. Dad said he thought that was funny because we're in British Columbia and don't have gorillas. So he and a friend snuck up one afternoon and spent the day hiking in the forbidden area. Later, when they came to a clearing at a river, he saw what looked like two giant hair-covered, not fur, apes washing food. That seemed to be talking in what he said were rapid grunts, snorts, whistles, and chattering impossible for a human. His friend slipped as he came out from behind my father, and he said both figures stood up, and the male was about 10 foot tall, and picked up the other smaller female one up like a sack of potatoes over the shoulder and ran off. Dad and his friend bolted but were chased and also described trees breaking every few seconds all around them as they ran. Not branches, but trees. My dad said he feels it was meant to run them off of their territory. My dad is a super serious Japanese man, not into paranormal or superstition, so I believe him. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you...
Oh.
I mean, that story is just full of amazing restraint because obviously it wasn't just two of them because the one picked up the smaller one and ran off, and then they were chased off by other ones. So what a horrible...
I'll admit, I don't know what that sounds like, where it's not branches breaking, it's trees, just consistently snapping or,
Well, I mean, have you ever heard a tree fall, like a full tree?
I don't know. Like in person, I don't know if I have. I've heard it in videos, but
it's a really intimidating sound. It's like almost like a quick clap of thunder, like, but the cracking, I imagine, would have been absolutely like shotguns going off. If a full tree is cracking as it's coming down, that's a hell of a noise. I just couldn't imagine. That would be terrifying, absolutely terrifying, because you're dealing with something obviously with so much ability and strength that you offer no resistance at all. There's nothing you could do. But yeah, I'm glad they made it, but yeah, they kind of poked the bear in that one.
Oh yeah.
So the next one up is about 4 years ago. I was hiking near Juneau, Alaska, and we started to hike at 5 a.m. And about 8 hours into the hike, we heard what we thought was either a bear or a moose. It sounded like a very big animal, but we couldn't see it. We kept hiking, and we then realized it was following us from the far left, maybe 25 yards away. We decided it was a bear, and we stopped, and my cousin took out his pistol, thinking we might have to unfortunately kill this bear. And then we saw what made us both freeze for about a minute in terror. About 12 feet up from a particularly good-sized tree, we saw a very large humanoid head covered in thick black hair and had gorilla-like facial features. After about a minute, we shook off our freeze fright, and whatever it was then moved back behind the tree. We immediately turned around and sped walked back. It didn't knock over trees, but whatever it was stalked us for another 30 minutes or so because we could hear this thing moving through the forest due to its sheer size. People say, why didn't you take a picture with your phones? The thing is, that was seriously the very last thing that was on our minds when our lives were in danger of being killed by this thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, people don't understand, like, true terror, what you feel and what you're thinking. You're only thinking of getting the F out of there. You're not thinking about,
right,
oh, this would be a great picture. Oh my God. You know, it's not that. It's like, oh my God, I might die, you know.
Bigfoot. Hold on. Let's get this in frame. Okay.
God,
Nobody
exactly.
is thinking about selfie time when you're looking at something that's so huge and it could beat you into pudding. I mean, it's just never going to happen. All you're thinking of is, oh my God, is that what it looks like? The thing that's going to kill me? Is that what the thing that's going to kill me looks like? You know, because it's 12 feet up in a tree. They're seeing this. I have about a 9 foot ceiling here. And that's another 3 feet. And I can't imagine what that looks like, but it's terrifying. I stood next to an 8 foot facsimile of a Bigfoot. And just imagining if that was alive and moving, that was really humbling. So I don't know.
And that's another thing too. You're talking about people who don't really believe or don't really know about it. You know, they don't know if it's really out there. Even for us, like if we were to go hiking someday and to see it, like I don't know if we would even have the thought of, let's take a picture, you know.
No. I know that I wouldn't. I mean, that's why you got to strap on GoPros, just, you know, make yourself like a Walmart security cone, you know, and just like pointing every way, because the last thing you're thinking of is, let's have a shot of this. Let's have a photo. Now again, people have that do this more regularly. They work past that, you know, but it's like paranormal investigating. Ghostly stuff is absolutely terrifying to most people, but for me, so far, it's never been very scary. It's just being in the presence of energies that I don't quite understand, but I never feel afraid. That's not to say I couldn't, but I just normally don't. But that's after a lifetime of a lot of ghostly experiences. So I just don't get worked up about it. But the same is true for investigators that go out there and they deal with these intimidating things all the time. You build up a resistance to it. You know, it's like a fireman. They don't see a fire and go, okay, I'm out of here. You know, but I would, but they run in, you know. So I think it's just, you got to work yourself up to that is what I'm saying. So
yeah, it's true. I mean, even when I saw the UFO in southern Minnesota, I was just frozen in disbelief that, oh my God, I see it. Like, oh my God, it's there. I'm seeing it. Like, oh my God, like it just didn't click. Like, oh, hey, you should get a photo, by the way. I mean, it seems logical, but it just didn't hit me at the time.
Right. You're dealing with something just appearing that isn't normally there. You know, what do you do? Well, let's continue so I can get through this. We got 7 minutes left. It's next one. It's 2013 on Kodiak Island, Alaska. Myself, ex-husband, and the neighbor's 17-year-old son saw a Bigfoot during the middle of the day. Had no cell phone with us. Other things happened as well, and we thought about calling it in, but decided not to. We didn't want our island paradise inundated with all kinds of publicity. I did find out that back in the 1950s, a video was made about Bigfoot on a part of our island that raises cattle and buffalo. A place called, Shag Shack on Kodiak Island. And now there's a rocket launch facility there. My horses and my neighbor's horses had a graze lease. Oh, okay. Where we saw Bigfoot. Our horses never seemed bothered by them, which made me feel there wasn't a threat to us people. Yeah, I suppose, again, if the animals aren't reacting in a scared manner, then I guess you're okay. Maybe. Maybe you have stupid horses, though, too. That's the other side of it. Maybe your horses are idiots. That could be.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. Horses they could be really bad at judging things like that. Here's the next one. I had an unexplainable sighting in Lancaster, California. This is like 25 years ago, around 1997. But I recall it best I can. Me and my girlfriend at the time were hanging out at the dunes at 150th Street East near Avenue K. And we're waiting for some friends, but no one showed. So we decided to leave around midnight. All night we heard the dogs from nearby ranch barking, but there's all sorts of critters out here, like coyotes and stuff, so we didn't give it a second thought. We were heading northbound on 150th Street East towards Avenue K intersection. As we arrived there, I saw something move from the west side of the street. I could see it silhouetted against the night sky. Then it turned its head and looked at the car. Its eyes were higher than the street sign it walked out from behind, which is about 8 feet tall. It stared at us the entire time it crossed the road, which took all of maybe 3 seconds at best. And I made my turn and drove off, not even thinking. I looked down and saw I was going 145 miles per hour. So I slowed down and asked my girlfriend if she saw what I saw. She could only nod her head. I took her home and went home myself and called the sheriff to see if they had received any calls about any disturbances from the ranch out there. And the deputy who answered asked what kind. I told him an animal, and he asked what kind, and I ran down the list of critters that are local. I answered no to them all naturally. A little annoyed, he asked what exactly I was talking about, so I told him to prepare himself and told him exactly what I saw without missing a beat. He says, well, could have been Bigfoot, and I told him not to patronize me. He proceeded to inform me that Bigfoot has been reported to them more than a few times, and that with the drought going on and all the critters were coming down out of the mountains, he told me they pulled a 400-pound black bear off of the 14 freeway that morning. I thanked him for his time and assistance, and we hung up. That's my story. Wow. And it looks like this is the last one. In the summer of 2016, Clingman's Dome, North Carolina, on the Appalachian Trail, doing a night hike from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., then pull out of the woods. I stopped to eat a snack shortly after 1 a.m., careful to avoid bear attraction to our location. All of a sudden, down the mountain came a yell, screech, roar of magmatic proportion. It was a combination of a lion, bear, and an angry giant all in one. I quickly put the trash in a bag and headed down the road to the car, quite disturbed and watching my back. Bigfoot is real. Too many authentic sightings by law enforcement and park rangers. Now my own experience. And shortly after that night, a Bigfoot sighting was made known at Clingman's Dome. That was by KC. There you go. Very cool. Very cool experiences. And again, I guess if you're going to see one, seeing them at a distance is probably the best way. You don't want to see them up close. At least not the first time. At least the first time, see them at a distance. I guess if I was going to want to see one, it would be at a distance. Like, hey, 60, 80 yards. Oh, it's walking across by the tree line. That's definitely a Bigfoot. It's huge. Okay, then I'd seen it. I'm not opposed to seeing one, but I'm just opposed at like walking around a tree and then, looking up at the angry face looking down at me.
With your luck, that'll be it.
Well, that would be it, I'm sure, because it could just literally, and crush your forehead. I'm sure. I mean, it's just such a disproportionate of power and ability. So, we wouldn't put up any resistance. It would just, beat us like a dandelion and move on.
Oh yeah, easy.
I just think they don't try to. Obviously, they don't try to do those things because if they did, there'd be a lot more corpses showing up,
Oh yeah. Yeah. I believe they're intelligent beings.
Yeah. And I believe that they know enough, that intelligence is profound enough to know, look, if we mess with one of them, hundreds of them start coming out and walking through our area. So I think that they maybe they don't want to start trouble in the first place, but second place, they probably know if something happens, they got to deal with a hell of a lot more people in their home areas. And that's got to be disruptive when you're scratching a life out of what you can find,
Yeah.
So yeah. I think it's just behooves them to be evasive, for a number of reasons.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow. And that's pretty much the show. Can you believe it? Wow.
God.
We're down to about
always goes fast.
A minute left until the bell sounds and we're all out of time. But again, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. We do these live streams right here on YouTube. I'm toying with the idea of throwing in another night, possibly on Twitch or maybe here on YouTube. I don't know. I'm toying with the idea. I know I've gotten a lot of emails and messages that people would like to see more shows. It's just, it is a lot of work doing these shows. It's a lot to put together, a lot of things that I have to do to make this happen. So it's not impossible, but maybe in the near future, maybe in the future, there will be more. But let me know what you think. If you'd like to see more shows, I've thought about Twitch for a while, so maybe that might be something we play with, but I don't know. I don't know if it's a conducive platform for the show or not, but that's going to wrap it up for us. Sheldon, anything quickly?
Yes, absolutely. If you want to join the weekly discussions, go ahead and join the Discord in the chat.
All right, folks, we love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice, take care of each other, help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Good night, everybody.